Hey, this is Chris Kenneally, writer and director of Already Gone and Side by Side. You're listening to So Booking Cool with Jewel B.
Welcome to So Booking Cool, it's Jewel B. Today's guest is a filmmaker whose credits include Side by Side, Girls Trip, Crazy Legs Conti, just to name a few. And his new film, Already Gone. He is Chris Kenneally. So Chris, what would you say is your story, and would you ever write a book?
Oh, wow. I would love to write a book. I don't know if I'm talented enough to be able to write a book, but that's actually where my interest first started was as a writer, trying to write short stories and things like that, and I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life. And then I had that opportunity. I was bartending. Another guy I worked with had to write a script for, he was in college for Mass School of Art, and I wrote the script for him, and I helped him make the movie. It's a little short film, and I was like, wow, this is awesome, because it combines so many different creative outlets, not just writing, but there's a visual aspect, obviously, dealing with people, working with actors, and technically, how to use a camera and make it look good, and sound and all that. And I was just, I love the kind of teamwork aspect of it. It's a long answer, but
it's a great answer.
There you go.
And you should, if you want to write a book, Chris, you should definitely pursue that.
Will you help me?
Yeah,
Right.
Certainly. So, you mentioned that when you did, because writing was kind of that writing was what you really had your sights on, but filmmaking found its way to you. So once you made that connection and realized you were interested in film, did you start watching movies in a different way and just start studying films?
I did a little bit. It's funny. I didn't know anything really about how to get into film or the film business or anything like that, but that little experience with my friend Mark Upson on that short film was I was kind of hooked. So I kind of wrote down this, it's kind of corny, but I wrote down this goal, this is what I want to do and what are some steps I can do to get there. So I started volunteering at this place. I lived in Boston at the time, called Boston Film Video Foundation, and I just answered the phones, and then I was able to TA classes there. So I just took, it was a small place, but I took, whatever classes I could at night and helped the, professors. There wasn't really that much to do. But because of that, I got to use, their equipment. There was film equipment back then. And I was editing on a big Steenbeck, machine where I actually cut the film and tape it together. And, was able to make, another short film that way. I kind of cobbled together my own film school in a way doing that. And then I met some kids who were at Emerson University and asked them to help me shoot this film because I didn't really know how to use the film camera. And because of that, I kind of, was hanging out at Emerson a little bit, using some of their rooms and stuff on the sly. And yeah, that's kind of how it got started. Some short films in Boston. But you asked me about watching films, and yeah, I tried to, I was, when I was younger, Robert De Niro, I like him, I'll watch Robert De Niro films, and then I realized, this same director made all, Martin Scorsese made all these different films, and then I started to be that's how you want to pick out your films, kind of, by who directed them, not necessarily who's in them, although, there's some great actors, but every once in a while, they're in some duds,
You mentioned that you were writing your goals down. Is that an approach that you still use?
Yeah. I wish I knew that earlier in life. I think having a goal, I think it just makes your life actually more interesting. It's not it's all of a sudden you're stressed and you have a goal and you're going after. But before I did that, I was, like I said, I was trying to write, but I didn't have a defined goal, and I was bartending, and I was just kind of drifting around. But once I wrote that down, it was this is the target for me. This is where I want to go. Things just started to come together more. You have a little clear focus, and it really, I don't know, just made me a happier person as well. So I do try to do that when I remember to.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you've worked in different aspects of film, Chris. Do you have a favorite department of the filmmaking business, and why?
Yeah, I would say, directing a film is to me, the best. I don't always have the opportunity to make a living just doing that. Something I've been working toward. I've had the opportunity to direct 3 movies, a couple docs, and this first narrative feature, but I've also worked in post-production. You mentioned Girls Trip. I don't want to take really much credit or any for Girls Trip. I was just one of, many people, but, I didn't direct that or really have any creative input in that at all. But I was proud to be part of it, part of the team in a small way. But yeah, post-production, I've been able to that's my bread and butter, how I make a living. I'm the GM at a visual effects company right now called Powerhouse. And we do, all kinds of really cool, there's so many visual effects in movies nowadays. So, we get to work on a lot of cool movies and episodic series, HBO, Netflix, M. Night Shyamalan, all those kind of things.
Wow.
Yeah.
And speaking of your first narrative feature film, you're referring to Already Gone, correct?
That's right.
Yes. So tell us, like, what inspired this story and the story of Already Gone.
Sure. That's always a tough question. I get asked that all the time. I should have a better answer by now. But it's not autobiographical. There's obviously things that are in the movie that I'm familiar with and I'm able to write about. But I wanted to make a movie kind of about feelings and the movie that kind of breaks your heart. I just had the idea for, a young man who's in a really difficult situation that has kind of the drive or the self-confidence to pull himself out of that. And at the same time, it's a bit of a teenager fantasy as well, like a 16-year-old boy, and you run away with a beautiful older woman you love, you steal money from the bad guy, and, but then I don't want to give the movie away, but, they're not destined really to be together. So, that causes all kinds of problems and emotions. I think that's, to me anyway, more difficult to write something that makes somebody hopefully feel something sad or happy or heartbroken or just kind of a bittersweet thing. So I think, at least for me, and I think for most people, it's easy to do something shocking or gross or, those type of really like knee-jerk reactions to get out of people or an audience, I think are easier. And I think a lot of movies rely on those.
What can you say about the casting process, and what did you learn about yourself as a filmmaker after creating Already Gone?
Sure. So casting, we did a bunch of auditions for the lead role of Robinson, who was played by Tyler Dean Flores. And we auditioned him, probably like 2 years before the movie even got made. And in a day where just, it's like in the movie, sort of you sit in a room and a bunch of people come in and you film them and you have them do a scene. And I went back and watched all the video. I'm just like, there's something about this kid, and it's a big decision to make, it's like you really have to like kind of trust yourself that you're going to make the right decision. So the 2 years went by and we continued to, audition people here and there, sometimes more famous actors or people with more experience, but I would always look at their video and then I would watch Tyler's again, kind of A/B them. And I was like, Tyler keeps winning. He keeps winning. He's the best. And then I heard he wasn't acting anymore, cause time had gone by. And then I heard he was. I called him up and we met and we're good friends to this day. He's just a awesome dude. And I think he really did a great job in the film. And, similar thing for Justine, although it wasn't 2 years ahead of time, but she played Justine Skye, played the role of Keisha. She again had the best read of it, and I could tell she understood the scene, she understood the character. If somebody just gets it right away, that helps you as a director. That's like 80% of it right there. Then Shiloh came on board, who we wanted for a long time, to play, the brother, Edwin, and Raquel Castro, I think, was amazing in the movie. She plays Carmen, the sister. And then, of course, Sean William Scott. And that was kind of cool. I had seen him in a movie where, he's in comedies mostly. Everybody knows him as Stifler from American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
But I had seen him in a movie where it was a comedy, but he played a little bit more of the straight role. And I thought he was really good. And I think the reason everybody remembers Stifler or those kind of comedy roles is because he's actually a great actor. And I think comedic actors don't get the credit they deserve.
Yes.
So I wrote him kind of a letter, an email saying as such, sent it to his agent, and just figured, well, this is going nowhere, but whatever, I might as well send it. And a couple of weeks later, the agent's like, hey, Sean read your email, he wants to talk to you. So we got on Skype, and it was like, it's, the reaction is like the reaction you dream about. He was like, thank you so much, nobody thinks of me for a role like this where I'm, the bad guy or a dramatic role. He's like, and these are the kind of roles I really came to Hollywood to make. And, I really want to do this and look forward to the opportunity. And, I think he crushed it too. And he is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And I just want to mention a couple other actors. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go on. Yeah.
Maga Uzo, who plays the grandmother. This is her first feature film. And, this has been a dream of hers to be in film since she grew up in Peru and came to America with $25 or something. And everyone said she was crazy. So when she first got on set, she was very emotional. She felt like she had achieved something, which she had, and then the little sister's played by Layla, Inthang Nasak. I think that's how you say it. And then the cop in the movie is played by Jim Clark, who's a great actor. He's in a bunch of movies and stuff. And he was also one of the executive producers. So that's kind of most of the cast there. I know that was a 2-part question, but I don't remember the second part.
Oh, I love that. There's a lot to learn in there too. And
yeah.
Wow, that's very great information. The other question was, what did you learn about yourself when making Already Gone?
Well, I guess I gained some self-confidence. About to embark on making I've made documentaries before, which are a little different. You kind of by yourself or with, a cameraman and a small crew. And this was, feature film where we're going to have, trucks of equipment and camera people and gaffers and, all the credits you see at the end of a movie. And I'm like, wow, how am I going to manage this? How am I going to work with actors? What am I supposed to do? So, it's a little nerve-wracking leading up to that. And then you get on set and you just start doing it and you get through a couple scenes and you're like, okay, I got this. This is how it is. It's just to me, it's communicating. So you're the one who wrote it or directing it. So you have that vision, you have a lot of stuff, verbalize or communicate that to everybody around you and try to match what's in your head. And it's just constantly, going back and forth. And I realized I felt like I could do that. And yeah, that gave me confidence, I would say. I'd like to do another one soon.
Yes. Wow. What is it that you want people to take from Already Gone?
If there's a message, I think it's, just kind of the courage that, Robinson has to leave the known and head in, he's going to go over that bridge, he says in the movie, what's over there? I don't know, something else. He's in such a bad situation and he's brave enough to go somewhere else and realize that he can dig within himself and hopefully build something new. At first he thinks it's with Keisha, and that's what he wants in Keisha. But by the end of the movie, I think he realizes what he needs is really a family. So I kind of thought of it as a coming of age movie where he's very adult-like in the beginning. And at the end, he actually has to realize he's a kid. And I think most coming of age movies are the other way around.
Yeah. Ooh.
And I like that a character wants something in the beginning, and by the end of the movie they realize what they want is not what they need. They're different things. And yeah, but I would say that's kind of the message. And I think that's a very human thing and a very American thing as well. To just go forth into the unknown. People came here from all over the world and continue to head west. I mean, along the way, some terrible things happened, and terrible people did terrible things to innocent people, of course. But the message of believing in yourself and starting something new.
And this movie was filmed in New York. Not all of it, right? But it was filmed in New York.
Yeah, actually, the whole movie was filmed in New York State.
Awesome.
So you can see the Coney Island stuff. That's like the last kind of 3 days of shooting. We only shot 15 days too, which is a very short amount for a movie. And then the rest of it we shot up near Kingston and Woodstock, New York, which I thought would not be possible. I'm like, this is a road movie. They're supposed to end up in the West. And I went up there and we did a bunch of location scouting, and our UPM, production manager, line producer, had shot a bunch of movies up there, and he's from Colorado actually, and had shot a movie up there that's supposed to be Colorado. So he was like, it can be done. We were able to, there's so many cool different locations up there that you can really, shoot things, to be all kinds of different locations.
How long does the process of location scouting usually take?
Probably, drove around for, maybe like a week looking at a bunch of places. And then once the, director of photography, the cinematographer and the gaffer, and some of the key leads, when they came up there, we went around again. I showed them, the places that we had chosen or that I had chosen. And then they look at them to, figure out, okay, how are we going to light this? What kind of equipment? And how are we going to get, the trucks and the people up there? So there's, the initial scout, and then there's a tech scout to kind of figure out the logistics of it. And then you have to go, and get the, location releases, the ability to shoot at all these places. Sometimes those fall through and you have to find a backup place at the last minute. Like, there's a scene at the fair, I guess it's called the fair, at the fair, with the Ferris wheel and all that stuff. And we couldn't actually get in there. So I had to kind of rewrite it a little bit. And if you notice, it kind of all takes place in the parking lot just outside of the fair. And I think it came out pretty cool, the way they, buy the hats and the food and get chased by the police a little bit and get on the bus, to escape. So that was kind of like the day before. I had to look at Google Maps and figure out, how we could shoot that. And we asked the people who ran the carnival they were done, but we asked them to keep the lights on so we could have that in the background. Mm-hmm. We gave them a little bit of money so they could go down to the local bar and hang out for a couple hours while we shot, in exchange for them keeping the lights on for us. So that was cool.
And while you're filming, do you attract the attention of people who are not involved in the production? And what is that like?
It's always the same. Someone walks by, yo, put me in the movie. It's like the same old joke. And the crew who've been on more movies than me, they don't even react to it. And I'm like, okay. I feel like, yeah, okay, I'll put you, as a joke or whatever. It's just, I probably made the joke when I was younger or something too. But yeah, people are excited. What are you shooting? What's this for? Up there, they're in Kingston, they're very open to, they shoot a lot of movies up there now, and they're very open to it. A lot of the, I think a lot of the business that had been up there is gone now. Some like the computer and tech business and stuff. So the police up there, town hall, everybody's just super helpful. A couple of the cops in the town who were supposed to be on set to, for safety reasons, hey, we need a cop, they're the ones that like walk onto the school bus to look for them, or they drive their car by. So, we have a police car in the movie chasing them and stuff like that. Or they're like, oh, here's at the last minute we had to change locations. The cops are like, oh, there's an abandoned, IBM, corporate park, and it looks like a highway, and you can sit there, and there's lights, and so those guys were awesome.
What are some of the ways, Chris, that are conventional that someone can get involved in film as well as not conventional?
Sure. I would say there's especially in New York, there's I think the mayor's office of film, I think, has a big list of what's shooting and I think what jobs are available. You have to start, usually entry level if you don't have experience, but you can be a PA, which is a production assistant. Mm-hmm. And that can be kind of a drag at first, but you're kind of standing around with a walkie-talkie or telling people, hey, can you not walk down the sidewalk for a second while we shoot this? I think we've all seen them hanging on the corners in New York, but it is, basically based on merit. And if you're good and you're hardcore, the people above you, I think you're going to notice that. Everybody wants good people. Everyone's always looking for good people to work with. And that's a way to work yourself up, like on the crew side of it. To be a director, writer, I think you just have to keep writing, write scripts, make short films with your friends, enter them in contests. I think contests are great, because they help you get things done. You have a deadline. And, it lights a fire under you to finish something on time. If you go to little festivals with something you meet other young filmmakers. It's exciting and inspiring. Those are kind of like the DIY ways. And then there's always film school. I didn't go to film school, but I know people who have, and it's helped them. You make a lot of connections there. It's also super expensive. So if you don't have a lot of money, I think nowadays there's so much technology that's of high quality, that's inexpensive, even your iPhone, plus, cheap laptop or something, you can shoot and edit something. And you also have all this access to, YouTube and stuff where people, are just giving their knowledge to you, It doesn't make sense nowadays that you necessarily have to go to a specific location at a specific time, like college, and, to sit in front of somebody and learn something when it's all there. It's all on the internet. That kind of happened. I'm a little older to have been able to take advantage of that, but I still try to when I can.
By the way, how would you like to see filmmaking evolve?
I'd like to see more different kind of people telling different stories. There's a lot of good movies out there. There's a lot of cool indie stuff. There's tons of content on Netflix, Amazon, HBO, all those places, but it's still sort of, in a way, an elitist thing, and you have to kind of be, in traditionally kind of have at least some money to get to film school, or have, a parent or someone in the business, that always helps, but I would rather see other types of people, and hear their stories. And I think the technology allows for that. I know a lot of it's also just based on what people go and buy tickets for, and it seems like people love buying tickets to like superhero movies and stuff like that, which is fine. But I think there's an opportunity to tell different stories more about real people and their situations. And, I see there's a lot of great documentaries out there and stuff too, which take advantage of that. But I think it's happening. I'd like to see, I guess, more diversity.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would love to see that too. So once you write the script, do you have to go about getting it protected, or the screenplay?
Yeah. I'm not that good at that, but I don't think it's very hard. I think I did it. I think really you just have to send I think it's just like an email with a PDF, and you upload it to WGA, that's Writers Guild Association. Mm-hmm. I think you just upload it, and then they give you a number, and that protects it a little bit. And then you can also send it out for copyright, the U.S. Copyright Office, which is also pretty easy. It might even be a digital upload now as well. And then maybe you have to mail them a hard copy of the script. I don't know that you still have to do that. And they send it back, with a number. So once you have those two things, you're a little bit protected. If someone comes out with, the exact same movie, Green Dolphin, I can be like, hey, here's my, I registered this already, and here's my number, and you have a little bit more of a leg to stand on. But I think a lot of times, it's happened to me, I can't believe how many times it's happened to me, where I've written a script and taking it out, shopping it around, and not the exact same, but a very similar script is out there, or has just come out, or comes out after, and I don't think there's no way this person knew about my script or stole it on purpose, or vice versa. It just happens.
Mm-hmm. Is that based on genre too, or no? Not necessarily.
The fact that people have this similar scripts?
Yeah.
I don't know. So one of them I wrote was a comedy about Siamese twin brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty funny. We were taking it around, and then the Fairley brothers, whose movies are really funny, Dumb and Dumber and those kind of things, had the same script, and they'd had it for 13 years, some a little bit different, but still Siamese twin, comedy about two brothers, and they ended up making it with Matt Damon or something. And as soon as they announced that, my chances were done, And then I had a web series called Chef, about a great chef who loses his job and ends up, opening a food truck. And then a movie got announced, same name, Chef, with, Jon Favreau, and same plot line. And I was like, oh, crap. It happened again. So I always get nervous now when I write a script. I got to get this out here quick before the similar one comes out.
Okay. So once you upload it, then that's the way that you mentioned to that. I think you said WGA.
Yeah,
right?
WGA. It's Writers Guild Association. I think there's a WGA East and a WGA West.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go online, you can find it, or you can just Google, how to register or protect my script.
Okay.
I think they used to say, mail it to yourself, in an envelope, and then don't open it. I never did that, but.
Have you ever showed another filmmaker your script? Maybe a mentor type of person?
Sure. Yeah, I do that all the time, and people send me, hey, would you read my script? And, sometimes it's drag, you're busy, and, every time I have free time, I'm I want to work on my stuff, but, I think it helps though, reading other people's scripts and giving notes, because you can see some things that work really great, or different approaches to things, and you can also see things that don't work well, which, can help your own writing. And then sending it to mentors, that's always good. And some people, just, oh, it was good, I really liked it. Some people give notes, some people, tear it apart, which is all, deep in your heart. I know it's wrong, but you send someone something and you really want them to just be like, that's awesome, but you get notes, and it's good. They poke holes in it, and it makes it stronger.
Right.
I love doing it. And I actually do love talking about just story structure, not even the dialogue and stuff like that, but people are always sending me, not always, but people send me, documentaries or other things, and I love thinking about how, how to tighten up the structure and hit these plot points and, make it interesting. So that's always fun.
Is it worth trying to film a documentary or a short film with maybe a smartphone or a camera before advancing to the actual equipment?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you have, I think, the iPhones shoot pretty high quality. What you're missing is sort of the different types of lenses. Mm-hmm. But I think they even have that now, digitally you can alter it, or they have little lenses that can go on it. But there's a lot of, great cameras that people have. And I think people who have, who have invested in a camera are always up for shooting something, and they might sometimes be more technical people, and if you have a good script, they might not, that's kind of how I made the first short films in Boston. It's like I had the script, and these guys knew how to shoot a film camera. So I was like, hey, do you want to help me do this? They were like, absolutely. Like, I'm paying for the film and the developing, and they're getting to shoot something, and you can always find, partners to work on that stuff.
Right, like you mentioned film festivals, it's one of
Yeah.
the ways. Yeah. And your side-by-side documentary explores the technique of filmmaking and how it has evolved and everything. Would you say that this is pertinent information for aspiring filmmakers? Like, it sounds like anybody who wants to work in film and already work in film, they need to check out Side by Side. But I'm also wondering, like, should actors watch that as well?
Yeah, I don't think it would hurt actors, and I think it just adds, if people don't have the knowledge, it gives you a comfort level of knowing how film is made and stuff. I always think, for me anyway, like having knowledge or experience kind of takes away that fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, like I said, Side by Side, it's kind of about the technology change from film to digital, but the film also takes you through in order, shooting, dailies, editing, visual effects, post-production, all that stuff, which I think not everybody has a clear knowledge of. So, and I think there's a couple actors, obviously Keanu is the host, so he's a famous actor, but I know we interviewed Greta Gerwig and John Malkovich and Lena Dunham. So there's some actors in there, and some of the people we interview speak about how the technology kind of affects the actors and how they work with them. David Lynch talks about that in the film. So yeah, it's a lot of amazing people we got to sit down with and interview for Side by Side.
Mm-hmm. If you weren't into filmmaking, Chris, what would you probably be doing professionally?
Professional baseball player.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
If I could, that would be my dream job. I don't know. I'd probably be a bartender still. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. That's a tough question. I would, not sure. I hopefully would be doing something, in a creative field or something that made me a lot of money. I don't know, because I do, filmmaking, but it's also, the post-production and the visual effects and that stuff is my day job. So, and that's not always super creative, that part of it, but it keeps me in touch, with a lot of creative people and filmmakers and stuff like that where I work. So.
And how do you stay motivated, and how do you encourage other filmmakers and other creatives to stay motivated?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think surround yourself with people that you trust, that are honest, that wouldn't tear you down or mock you for going for your goals, or think, oh, you can't do that. And also, it's more, aside from other people, it's about yourself. You really have to believe you can do it, and there's no reason you can't. I mean, if I can do it to some degree, I think anybody can. And I think, it looks like this giant obstacle or thing you can never get to, but when you break it down into at least steps, like what can I do today to get closer to that, or to get better, and it might be the wrong decision, and it might be the correct one, but either way, you're going to learn something, and you're going to be able to keep moving forward. And I think that, like I said before, it makes your life a little interesting, having that goal.
And on that note, Chris Kenneally, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time.
Really fun.
I had a lot of fun too. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. You gave a lot of really great insight, Chris, and I would love to speak with you again for your next project and everything.
That'd be awesome. I'd be happy to speak with you anytime. This was awesome, and I appreciate you reaching out and having me on.
Oh, that's so nice. We will definitely be in touch, Chris. And how can people keep up with you and check out Already Gone and yeah?
Sure. Yeah, already gone. We have, it's really weird, but mostly Instagram is what I hit up nowadays.
Okay.
And I'm Kenneally8 at Instagram. And I'm on Facebook, which I don't use very often at all, but people can reach me there. And we have already gone film, on Instagram as well.
It's awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you to all the listeners. Until next time, So Booking Cool.